Hello, my Improve It Workday Playdate peeps. Remember being asked, what do you want to be when you grow up? Like, there was only one right answer, and you were supposed to stick to it forever. Yeah, hard pass. This month on Workday Playdate, we are diving into Career 101. This is one of our workshops that we teach here at Improve It. And we have no textbooks, no BS, just real talk about how to own your career, your choices, and your next move. And today we're tackling one of the biggest career myths out there, that the quote unquote perfect job is waiting for you to find it. And spoiler alert, my friends, it's not. But what is waiting? The power to choose your own path with the one and only Amanda Hirsch. Now, here's the trap. We're taught to wait. We're taught to wait for clarity. We're taught to wait for the dream job. We're taught to wait for somebody to tap us on the shoulder and say, you've made it. But what if that moment never comes? Introducing Amanda Hirsch. As I mentioned, she's a truth teller. She's a creative powerhouse. She's the founder of Mighty Forces, a storytelling company that helps people own their stories. She's the author of 2 very powerful books, Improvising Adulthood, which you know I love, and Feeling My Way. Now, she's a former office misfit. She's an improv actor, mom, and someone who helps people feel like they belong. She lives in New York's Hudson Valley with her family and her impersonation-worthy dog, Clover. I love that. So, if you're waiting for the perfect job or you're trying to figure out what you're supposed to do with your life, my peeps, you are not alone. We get it. The pressure to figure it all out can feel overwhelming, but maybe the goal isn't to figure it all out. It's to take ownership and start where you are. Now, I've got some data to back this up. I know y'all learn with your head and your heart. So this is for the people that need some science behind this. A 2023 LinkedIn survey found that 61% of professionals feel stuck in their careers, and nearly half say they don't know what their next step should be. And at the same time, career pivots are on the rise, especially among millennials and Gen Z, showing that linear paths are no longer the norm, and that's okay. So, without further ado, let's get into it. Let's talk about how to stop waiting and start choosing your path with Amanda Hirsch. Let's play, y'all. Okay, Workday Playdate peeps, y'all are not even ready. Amanda Hirsch is on this show, and Amanda's not only a storyteller. They've already heard about you, okay? But you're just one of my excitable moments of my day today was realizing I get to talk to somebody who not only loves improv but loves helping people using improv. So, Amanda, welcome to Workday Playdate.
Thank you. I'm so excited to be here. Your welcome is like the warmest welcome I think I've ever received. So thank you for that.
You are so welcome. And that you are so welcome for the welcome. And I'm glad that you feel welcomed here because honestly, this space is meant for you. When I was researching you, I just thought to myself, oh my God, this is the perfect person for this show. So let's do this. Let's set an intention for the show, knowing today we're talking all about careers, how to stop waiting, how to start choosing your path. What is one word that you either want to give or receive today as we're talking to the peeps?
Connection is the word that comes up.
Why connection?
Well, I've already enjoyed connecting with you in the 3 minutes, we spoke before this started, and I want to continue that. And I believe if we have a genuine connection, it's going to create a conversation that makes other people feel a sense of genuine connection to the material and all of that. So, yeah.
Okay. Connection it is. And I feel it too. Truly, it's so refreshing to just, like we said before the episode started, I was like, got your back. And that you are an improviser. You know what that means. I don't have to explain that. And when you hear those phrases, you know what general people who aren't improvisers know what got your back means. But as an improviser, those 3 words are just symbols of trust and connection and collaboration and vulnerability. Like, I'm just excited to chat with you because you have this incredible book. So you actually have two books, right? So you have Improvising Adulthood and Feeling My Way. And you say in your book that no one else can choose your life for you. And I would love for us to start here. I'd love for you to tell us about your journey to realizing that life is more improv than plan.
Yeah. Well, my sort of aha moment occurred in college. So I was unlike many people, I was a very happy high school student. I really liked high
Yeah.
school and felt a really strong sense of belonging in the magnet program I was in and had a lot of friends and just was a happy camper. And then I went to college and it was like, womp, womp. I really had trouble finding people that felt like my people, which again, this brings us back to the theme of connection. And was just a sad puppy for a long time in school, trying to find where I fit, and also putting all this pressure on myself to figure out exactly how I wanted to spend the rest of my life, because that was what college was for, right? And I was a very obedient overachiever, and so if my assignment was to figure out what I wanted to do with my life, like I was going to figure out what I was going to do with my life, you know. And it was incredibly stressful. And got to the point where I think through a mix of existential crisis, missing my long-term boyfriend, who is now my husband. So that was worth it, but not fun. And what I would later learn was clinical depression and anxiety. I think all of those things came to a head. And I hit a point where I just was going through the motions. A friend of mine was like, you need to just get on a train and go home. This was in my junior year. And I knew she was right. And so I did. And for the sake of the podcast, I won't go through every beat of this story, but suffice to say, when I came back later to school, which I did, I was a changed woman. And what I see in retrospect is that the act of making a choice that was off script, because certainly if there was a script I was following, it didn't include leaving college.
Yeah.
The first time I improvised, the first time I took a step that went off script, something resonated, I think, all through my being. I mean, not overnight, because this isn't a Hollywood movie, but, you know, there was something in me that was activated, turned on, that was like, oh, I get to choose. I get to make choices. I came back. I had to take all these intro level classes because it turned out I'd taken all these upper level English seminars as electives, and to graduate on time, I needed to go back and take all the intro classes. And my teacher was like, you know, I'd like you to write an essay about the English mystery plays. And I don't know where this came from, but something in me was like, no, I don't think I want to do that.
Yeah. No. Yep.
I went to her and I was like, I could do that. And I've written like many essays like that, but I'd rather write a play. Could I write a play? And to her immense credit, she said, yeah. And I wrote a play. My whole class ended up reading the play. I did it again for another assignment and started approaching my education in that way. Like, I want to make this mine. I want to choose what I want this to be. Did an independent study, recommended a class for all freshmen where we would reflect on what it is we wanted to get out of college. And so anyway, in the end of my senior year, the head of the English department invited me into her office and said, you know, I wanted to let you know that you've been nominated for Phi Beta Kappa, the Honor Society. And at first I thought sort of like, okay, because I thought it was because I got A's. I just thought it was, and I was at a point now where I knew that wasn't a meaningful metric to me. Like that wasn't a part of the script that actually brought me joy. And then she said, the reason we wanted to recognize you in this way is because of the independent approach you took to your education.
Wow.
And I just felt like seen and valued for who I was for maybe the first time, not valued for some sort of external achievement that I was performing for other people, but really being valued for who I was. And so that really was like the birth of an improviser, essentially.
Yeah. Yes, Amanda. Snap, snap, snap to that. Okay. so many things I want to unpack in this. But first of all, I also enjoyed high school. Okay. Taking it all the way back. So we share that in common. Okay. And I think so relatable that then you like have this script. Everybody who is listening, that was something challenging for me. My freshman year of college was the worst year academically of my entire life because you have a script. Like you literally have this script for 18 years of your life. And then there's like a loose script, but then there's no path. You have to forge your own path. And it was so cool to hear in your story how you were like embracing that instead of, being like, I must follow this college plan. I must go through this academia course to do XYZ. And you sort of went off the path and created your own script, literally, figuratively.
Yeah, literally.
And that has taken you to where you are. So I freaking love that. And I think a lot of people don't know, but you're an improviser, right? Tell us just about what that has led you to now, that experience.
Yeah. Well, so now I'm 49 and I've been self-employed for the last 20 years and have, entrepreneurial, my entrepreneurial nature is very intertwined with the improviser in me. So basically, didn't see a job that I wanted, made the job.
Yes.
Looked sort of down the list of roles they were casting for and was like, well, I don't think that's me. And that's not me. And that's not me. And that's not me. Oh, what if I think this could be me. Let me make my own character. Right. And so I think that all began with that formative experience, that sense of realizing the line you quoted earlier, just that no one gets to choose our lives but us. I feel that we walk around with feeling so oppressed by these shoulds we carry with us. I remember the first time I went to therapy in my 20s, after one session with me, my therapist was like, okay, Amanda, you have homework. I want you to go home and write down all the rules. And I was like, what rules? And she was like, clearly there are a lot of rules.
Yeah. They're woman-made rules in the brain. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Just write them down. Like I should, a good person should, a successful person should. Get all those shoulds out. So, and that was in my 20s. So it's not like, to be clear and very real with your listeners, it's not like I had that college experience and then was just this like badass powerhouse, without any hiccups in the road. I mean, it's improv, as you know, is messy. And it unfolds as it unfolds. And so I've continued to strengthen my muscles as an improviser with every year, every decade that's passed. But the initial inspiration, and sort of birth, I guess, happened in college. And then it was in my 20s that I found literal improv. And that was just such a liberating experience.
Yes. Oh, yeah. I mean, when somebody on this show, like, we have comedians, we have some improvisers on the show, but when somebody just gets it, it's so fun. Like it's such a life skill that I wish like everyone in the whole world could take an improv class. And I truly feel like the world would be a better place, but we could go down that rabbit hole all day. But I know the peeps listening are here because they are connected to this title. They're connected to this myth of the perfect job. So let me talk to you about that. I think that is a myth. And I would want to know your take on that. And why do you think we're so attached to the idea? And what's the cost of us thinking that?
Ooh, I love that question. Well, I think that it's, human nature to try to create a sense of control in our lives.
Yes.
Right? Like,
yes.
as you just said, life is
yes.
right? And I mean, the moment we're living in, like, overwhelming, it's complicated. And so I think, there's an instinct in us as a culture, if not in every single one of us individually, but culturally, to feel a sense of predictability and control. Like this happens and then this happens, and to feel like we will get rewarded for doing the right thing. That's very baked into our culture. So if you do your homework, you get good grades. If you get good grades, you'll definitely get into a college where that will definitely lead to a career where you will definitely make enough money and succeed and have a happy life. It behooves us, I think, culturally to, in many ways, buy into that, because the opposite of that is, well, actually, none of that's true.
Yeah. You're just going to flounder around like a fish, flopping here and there. Yeah.
Right. And so I think the cost, though, of the fact that these narratives are so baked into our culture, I think the cost is frankly a spiritual cost, a crisis that comes when people who have played by the rules and done all the right things then experience heartbreak or failure or gnawing dissatisfaction, lack of meaning, whether it's very practically like they are unemployed, or again, on a more spiritual level, ably employed and feeling like, what's the point of it all? And I think what I've become so passionate about is making sure that we teach young people how to be self-aware and how to make choices for themselves.
Yes.
Self-awareness and agency. Those are not things that are really at the center of a young person's public school education in America. And I think that's sort of why I felt like I fell off a cliff when I went to college, because all of a sudden I was being asked to make a choice. Okay, use this time, figure out what you want. Nothing up until that point, nothing had prepared me to figure out what I want.
Preach, preach, preach. Amanda, okay, truly, I'm just going to say, this is going to be controversial. So many people are going to be like writing it, delete, Control-Alt-Delete on this. But I do, thinking about the end of high school and how we focus so hard on the ACT, the SAT, like all of these standardized tests, which I use zero skills that I prepared and had tutors for so long. Could be, and I understand those are missions. Those are how colleges understand the IQ, whatever, of a teenager to come to their school to then be a graduate of their school. I understand. However, I don't think that I was adequately, I'm going to speak for myself. I don't think I was adequately prepared for college in terms of how to go from having this norm to having to improvising adulthood, just like the name of your book. I don't even feel like I had maybe one course in my college career that prepared me for the real world. And it was called business writing. That was it. That was literally,
because all you need to succeed in life is to be able to write well for business.
Exactly. And they were like, here's your cover letter and resume. And that was it. That was it. So if I agree with you, I feel like as a society, we are not equipping these younger generations. And I'm 42, right? So like elder millennial. And I really don't see this sort of like follow your own path, create your own path. There's many opportunities being laid out. I see, here's the rule book. You follow the rule book, you get X, Y, Z. But you're a living example that the rule book doesn't have to exist. I'm a living example of that. Entrepreneurs, we're literally making stuff up to create for the world, and it's helpful, right? So sorry, I just had that TED Talk, but I felt inspired.
No, look, I'm interested. I want that TED Talk. I want a whole day, a whole week of talks about that very thing. Because clearly, having written a book about it, it is me. No, but I think you're completely, and of course there are exceptions. I mean, have I been to every classroom in America? Have I been inside every household? No. But I think that I feel like we're culturally at a tipping point too, because, I don't want to get real, political here in your podcast, but just to say we seem to be in a moment of crisis in our democracy. And that is related to all of this, because if you teach people to make choices for themselves, that their job is to make choices that shape their life, it's a very short leap to then say, and also part of that is making choices to shape your government and to shape your country and to shape the world we live in. And we want more people, and we're seeing that now. We want more people to really understand what it means to be a citizen in a democracy, not just to understand democracy because it's going to be on a quiz in government class, to feel it.
Right.
And with, the world we live in, the future of work, the jobs the economy that exists the way it does today, we want more people who can imagine new ways of doing things. We want more creative solutions to deeply entrenched problems. And so rule followers, if all we're taught is to fool, just to fool people.
Freudian slip there, friend.
Freudian slip.
Yeah, yeah.
But if all we're taught is to like perform the script and follow the rules, then, you know, this tipping point I feel that we're at in across so many aspects of our lives, we're not going to be well served. We need more activated. We need more people who see life as improv, which
I
it is.
agree. Me too. Okay, so I'm going to ask this question, and there's probably 800 ways that we can go, but I want to hear your answer. So, okay, you and I understand that improv is collaborative. You and I understand that life is improv and that we can make our own rules. But what about, like, I'm even thinking about my own son, okay? I am watching him and I'm kind of like, man, did I mess him up already? He's 6. Like, he's
Probably, you know,
it's probably true. It's probably true.
It's too late.
I've done it. But I'm like, he is such a rule follower. My husband and I are both achieving, recovering perfectionists. And I watch him and he is such a rule follower. And I mean, that's going to serve me. But I hope I kind of want him to break the rules a little bit. I'm like, just kind of like color outside the lines, buddy. And he is a little, if there's something that's not a rule that he is, let me ask the question I'm trying to ask. I'm telling you this story because I'm watching him and I'm seeing like, okay, he's like going to follow the paths that he thinks he should follow when I really want him to step outside the line. I don't want to be a bad kid. I just want him to see that there's other possibilities. So let's say you're a leader on a team and you've got a great rule follower on your team, but you also want to empower them to be innovative and step outside the box and follow their own path and create a path less traveled in your organization. Like, what would you tell that person? If you were their leader, what would you say to be like, it's okay to innovate here. You don't have to do it this way. Like, I'm thinking of leaders that I know listen to this show and they don't want their team to, some people do, but the people that listen to this show, they don't. They care about their people, their well-being, they're people leaders. They want people to live to their highest potential and they want to be the witness and the catalyst to that, but they got a rule follower. What do they do to help that person color outside the lines, for lack of a better metaphor?
It's a great question. And I'm thinking in particular of an organization that I advised a number of years ago. And it was one of the chief of staff was the person that I worked with. And it was her like chronic struggle to get her people to feel a greater sense of permission.
Yeah.
To feel, and because not just because of you know, who she was as a person or you know what she thought would make them happier, but just in their consulting business, they were so constricted and risk averse that they weren't fully expressing their creativity and their insights to clients, right? They answered the questions that were asked. They didn't offer additional recommendations, right? It was very much like be the good student. So I'm just, I guess, affirming that it's a real issue that a lot of leaders do struggle with. And I think the best way to encourage it is to model it and to really prioritize creating a culture where people feel psychological safety, feel like they have, like people have their back, you know? And so it's less what can a leader say to someone, and it's more like, how can you create a culture inside your team where you're both modeling the idea of taking big swings, and sometimes they work and sometimes they don't, and it's not the end of the world. So you're modeling what you want to see, but you're also, I think, doing things in the way that you run the team. Like, what kinds of team meetings do you have? What kinds of things do you talk about in your check-ins? What kinds of things do you incentivize in your review structure? And all of that can point to creating a culture that is more dare I say, playful and
Yes.
and
Oh,
and and,
you
and
dare to say it here. You say that, Amanda.
dare
Yeah.
I say it?
Yeah, you say it. Don't you even, I'm not even going to dare you. Truth or dare, dare. Because I'm here for that. Like, I do think that that is a struggle for a lot of leaders, especially leaders who think outside the box themselves. And sometimes it is nice to have a rule follower. But then at the end of the day, you're like, if you have a sense of that safety, like you're saying, they will feel over time like they can color outside of the lines. Leaders, I interrupt your regularly scheduled programming to give you some real cool news here at Improve It. If you don't know Improve It, we are an improv-infused talent development company for the new generation of work. And one of our workshops is really going to hit home for you this summer. So if you're ready to set your summer interns up for success, our Career 101 workshop from Improve It is the high energy interactive session your interns didn't even know they needed. Now, in just 90 minutes virtually or 2 hours in person, we'll teach them how to bring positivity, perseverance, and purpose to every task. Through improv-based exercises, they'll learn how to show up, speak up, and stand out even when no one's watching. Spots are limited to 50 people in a virtual session and 100 people in person. So let's build your future talent one yes and at a time. You can reach out to us at learntoimproveit.com. That's learntoimproveit.com. Now back to the show. I know a lot of people listening to this show are thinking about their own career growth, their own career path, not just within the organization that they're currently at. And I want you to think about this. Like, if somebody right now is feeling stuck or just stagnant, we'll say, and they feel like they've maybe made a wrong choice. And you're a storyteller. So what would you say to help them reclaim their narrative in this? What would you say?
A life that makes you a lot happier could be just one choice away. So you made choices to get to this point. Every choice we make, we learn from. Every single choice. And that's our job, is to make choices and learn from them and then make more choices. So it sounds like if you're feeling stuck, and may I say I have felt stuck many times in my life. So I'm not talking about this in a sort of hypothetical way. I'm speaking from the heart. When you feel stuck, it can feel like there are no choices available to you. But that's in fact never the case. And instead of dwelling on, oh, what terrible choices have I made that got me here? See if you can reorient your gaze and ask a different question, which is, what choices can I make that move me away from this place? And in the book, I talk a lot about learning what feels like a yes in your body and what feels like a no. And sometimes, and following the yes.
Yeah.
And that relates directly to, a skill in improv is when you're going to make a choice in a scene, you can't be like, hold on, everyone, I'm going to go make a quick spreadsheet. I'll be right back. Let me write a spreadsheet of possible things I could say to my scene partner in this moment. I'm going to do an analysis.
Yeah.
Run the numbers and I'll be back. Clearly you can't do that in the middle of an improv show, right? And so similarly, in life, you can do that, but then you're going to talk about being stuck, analysis, paralysis.
Yeah.
So instead, I find I make my wisest choices when I really am able to tune into, literally in my body, what feels like, not just what I can talk myself into sounding like a yes in my brain, but what feels like a yes, what makes me feel like, oh, I want more of that. And I say in the book that sometimes following the yes is more about following sort of a breadcrumb trail to yes than it is about feeling a hell yes in every cell of your body. So if you're feeling stuck, you don't need to wait for lightning to strike and for you to be lit up with certainty in every cell of your being about what your next step should be. But as you survey possibilities, and by the way, I'll come back to this, but playing the game New Choice can bring a lot of spaciousness to these moments.
My favorite game for improv and life. Yes.
Yeah. But anyway, it's like what feels most like yes, like in my body, what do I feel most? And so that means knowing yourself. That means knowing like when I feel constricted in my chest, that's not a yes. When I feel fizzy in my chest, that is a yes. Whatever your version is. When my shoulders go like, up to my ears, that's probably not a yes. When I feel my shoulders relaxing, that might mean that option feels safer and more like a fit for me.
Yes.
Not that the best choices are always the safest choices, but just in that example. Yes, new choice.
Mind. Okay, wait, let's talk new choice, but I want to stay on this for 1 second because the mind-body connection is so real. Have you ever heard of this? And I do this sometimes. I was going to ask you to give us some examples of like what that feels like. So you told us like the fizziness in the chest is good. The like shoulders achy is not good. Like high shoulders is like tense, stressful. Have you ever heard of this? And sometimes I do this. Tell me, this is just pure curiosity. And I read it in some book, and God knows what book it was, but I will stand straight, like my arms completely neutral, my body just straight. And I'll ask myself, should I do XYZ? And if I lean forward, it's a yes. And if my body goes backwards, it's a no.
Ooh.
And I got to tell you, I've made a lot of decisions that way. But
interesting. I have heard of something like that. I'm trying to place where I've read about a similar thing. So I haven't. That's not a strategy I personally specifically use, but I think it's really interesting. Yeah. I feel like I would be in my head and I'd be like, well, am I making myself move
exactly?
Forward?
Yeah, I do that too. But I've been more cognizant over the years of mind-body connection because I dealt with chronic pain for a while. And I will tell you, it's like when you have things in your body that should not be there, like you tense up, your body feels it. And so when it's like last night, prime example, I've made friends with a woman, I'm in my 40s, she's 50, like who I just think the world of. And last night, John, my husband, and I went to dinner with her and her husband, and he didn't know either of them. So this was like a big leap for him. And it was like so energizing. He loved the guy. Obviously, I love Andrea. Like her name's Andrea. We had the best dinner. And so we get in the car and John's like, man, I really liked them. Like that was awesome. And I said, there's two types of friends. There's couch friends who make you want to like fall asleep on the couch and like, they deplete you. And then there's treadmill friends who make you feel like you just got up and you were like, you filled with endorphins. And in my body, last night at 9 p.m., I felt like I could run a race. Like I was like, man, isn't that funny? Like my body was like, let's go. Like this is amazing versus we just sat at dinner for 2.5 hours and I could have gone home and been completely depleted. But instead I was so energized and I had had a long day before that. So like the body really does tell you like.
And again, it's something we're not really taught. I mean, certainly like in PE.
Yeah.
Nobody was like, now tune into your body. Like what sensations are you feeling, But like I've worked with a somatic experiencing therapist. Yes. A shout out in the book. She's amazing. And I'll say something like, I'm just feeling so frustrated. And she'll be like, okay, well, where is that in your body? So I'm sharing that specifically because it's like a takeaway for your listeners here that if this idea of like, what does yes in my body feel like is kind of like, what? Like next time you're aware of having an emotion, I'm like, I'm feeling really nervous about going into this networking event. Like just get really curious. Curiosity is a great tool. And just like close your eyes, take a couple deep breaths, notice your body in the space that it's in. Like for me, feel the support of the chair against your back or the feet, the ground under your feet, sort of orient to your physical presence. And then scan your body with curiosity. Like if I had to say, this is where my nervousness is, where is it? Is it, a constricted feeling in your heart? Is it sweat on your palms? And then you start to begin to create that literacy within yourself of attaching an emotion to something that's actually happening in your body. And then when you're less clear on what the feeling is, you can then have the tool of coming in the other way and going, my palms are really sweaty. Oh, I think I'm nervous about this. And goes,
yes. It's so wild. Like the mind, I could do a whole show with you about this, but I want to stay on the path of the career path. Because I know people click play because They're waiting for clarity. They're waiting for permission. And it might be new choice. It might be something else. But I want to ask you, what's one small step? If somebody listening is waiting for clarity, they're waiting for permission, they want to know what path is right for me. What is a step they could take this week to start choosing that path? And maybe it's this game new choice, or maybe it's something completely different. What would you say?
Well, look, I feel like I'd be coy at this point not to explain new choice, although I'm sure people who listen to your podcast regularly have a sense of what it is. But I'll say that, the idea is in improv, there's a game where two people are doing a scene and someone on the side will clap their hands and say like, pause, new choice. So for example, let's say one actor has said, happy birthday, and mimed handing the other person a gift. And the second actor has mimed receiving the gift and said, oh my gosh, thank you. I've been wanting this for so long. So then someone claps and says, new choice. So that second actor says, this is the ugliest birthday gift I've ever received. Clap, new choice. So that actor again says, sure, having a child with you is a gift, but I don't think our son counts as a birthday present. Or, new choice. And the real power comes when you have to keep going.
Yes.
So I have an exercise. Each of the chapters, which I call scenes in my book, ends with prompts to help people connect the ideas to them, apply the ideas to themselves.
Can we do it? Can we do it, Amanda? Will you do it on me? Can we do it? If you have your book or you want the prompts.
Yeah. All right. Well, gosh, they're at the end of each scene. Okay. I have new choice as an exercise I have people do, and with an area that they're feeling stuck with in their lives. And it's amazing the spaciousness it brings, because you start because you could start being like, you get absurd and then you get past the point of absurdity and then you're back to serious. And then you look and there's something about just psychologically going, okay, I just listed 20 things I could do next.
Yep.
You've sparked a sense of playfulness and spaciousness, and the whole oppressive, serious energy around making the choice has just lifted,
Oh, okay. And I like this for people who are listening who are like, I want to know, should I go this route or should I go this route? Like I have something in my life I'm trying to make a choice on. I've been asked to join a women's mastermind that I am really excited about. And I have a couple reservations. The timing is a little different, a little hard for me. It's in the evening. So that's cutting into family time and cost. Okay. But I know I can figure it out. So those are my challenges. But if I'm to do new choice, and if you're listening and you're having, I want you to do this with your own challenge, right? So I'll be the guinea pig, but help me go through this, Amanda. I'm here for this all day.
Okay. So I'll pretend I'm somebody from the person running the mastermind. Okay. Okay. Erin, we wonder if you have made a decision about whether you'd like to join our mastermind.
I'm a little unsure right now. I'm just trying to figure out the logistics, the timing, financially. I think I can do it, but it's a lot,
Okay. New choice. Erin, we're wondering if you've made a decision about joining the mastermind yet.
Okay, I've thought about it, and I think I can get my parents to watch my son on the nights that my husband's out of town when the mastermind meets. So I think that could work, and I think I figured out a financial plan to make it happen.
New choice. Erin, hi, I'm from that mastermind you've been looking at. I wonder if you've made a decision about whether you'll be joining us.
The answer is yes. I basically already knew we could have kept going. I should have kept going, but I basically have gone through new choice in my head a bunch of times, and I do think that I'm going to do it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But I do like you kind of pushing me and asking me the same question, and I'm having to come up with different things. I could have gone negative though, right? Could I have gone negative?
You could have. I mean, who knows what'll come out? But it's like the genius of a really well run brainstorm.
Yeah.
Right. Is that you get out you come up with you'll be surprised by the weird things that come out of your mouth, and you'll say things knowing that they're quote stupid, but then that clears the path for the next thing to come and the next thing to come. And it's more about using that generative, creative muscle than it is about each idea you generate being wise and defensible.
Yes.
Do you know what I mean?
Okay, wait, can we do it again where I say no? Like I negate it.
And say, come up also permission granted to say really weird things.
Okay. All right, here we go. Let's try it again.
Right.
Okay.
All right. Erin, hi, I'm from the mastermind you've been considering Are you thinking you're going to join us?
You know what? I actually am not. I feel like I got a lot going on in life right now. And, I'm going to focus on my gardening.
Okay, new choice. Erin, hi, it's me, Ms. Mastermind. Are you going to be joining my mastermind group?
You know what? I am not, because right now I'm focusing on traveling the world and I've got a bucket list of places I'm going to go. But also, you do start off your mastermind in Bali. So why not? Why not?
We saw you coming.
Yeah, they saw me coming miles away.
Okay, new choice. Erin, are you in? Are you going to join our mastermind?
You know what? No, I'm going to get into underwater basket weaving, and I have a pool, so like I'm just going to get the materials at Michael's.
Mm-hmm. That makes a lot of sense. Makes a lot of sense. New choice. Erin, last time, are you joining our mastermind? Are you in or are you out?
I've thought of some other things that I could do instead of doing this, and all of them seem great, but I think I'm going to join.
And scene.
Okay. See, honestly, I was like, what else would I do besides doing it? Yes, I will travel. And that actually helped me. Like, I'm like, yes, I am going to travel. And actually, the mastermind does start in a fun location.
So
and
I like that because it felt to me like as we played, you were kind of coming at it from different angles. Like your first few responses in our first round were about the logistics and sort of solving the logistics. What I observed is that then as we kept going, you got beyond logistics to like, well, wait, what other things could I be doing with my time instead of this?
Yeah.
So not just is it logistically possible, but like, would I rather be traveling or underwater basket weaving? Or, maybe there's another hobby that I've been wishing I had more time for. So maybe playing New Choice would have made you realize like, shoot, I keep complaining that I don't have time to write my screenplay.
Yeah.
I'm realizing I hadn't put that together yet. This is time I could be doing the screenplay. Which of those things would I rather prioritize? Right. And then if we keep going, it's really, and it's fun. You mentioned parenting earlier as well. And it's a fun game to play with kids too.
Yes. Oh, I love that. My son loves some of my improv games. So I'm going to do that tonight at dinner. We'll just have a little fun with it. I'm encouraging all the peeps to do it too. But you actually just helped me make a decision, Amanda. I'm going to join it because guess what? I'm going to focus in that mastermind on the things I want to do inside of the business. And so I feel like it's a win-win, but I love this game for anybody struggling because I'll tell you what that did for me, just to like round it out.
Yeah.
It made me like see, okay, here's the logistical things that I'm concerned about. And then it made me think about, well, what else could I be doing? And honestly, those things, I don't garden. I don't underwater bat. I don't have any of those things in my life. And honestly, my team and I joke because my hobby became my life, which is improv and comedy. And I love it so much. But if I wasn't filling my time with that, I would spend, it's 2 hours in the evening, 1 hour of that evening. My son is already asleep. So I'm like, you know what? I'll take out of work an hour early and get to spend time with him. And I would probably be scrolling on my phone anyway. So why not make it meaningful? I think that was really helpful. So I love that tangibility. I love that for anybody listening who is struggling with a choice. Play it with yourself. One thing I like to do with New Choice is because if it's just you can take a ball and throw it at the wall. And when the ball comes back, you say New Choice to yourself and change that new choice.
Oh, I like that. I like that.
Ball, wall, new choice, new choice. Yep. Okay. Well, Amanda, I could talk to you all day. And I'm so grateful you were on this show. And I ask everybody that I think is the takeaway. Like that, do New Choice. Think about your own career path. Think about, like, you've given us so many tangible things, not only from New Choice, but just your own story, your own narrative of how you can get unstuck in that narrative of your own. So how are you, knowing that the name of the show is Workday Playdate? I always ask this to my guests, my very last question. How are you going to make your workday more playful today?
I love that question. I am going to make today more playful I'm going to take time to create a very silly playlist. I have an errand to run after this.
Ooh.
And I'm going to bring the energy of like weird and unexpected and make myself a silly playlist that I will listen to in the car as I run my errand.
I am so down with that. What's one song you're going to have on the playlist?
Oh, well, this is a gimme for me. The song is called Purple Hat.
Okay.
It is absurd. And I sort of dare anyone listening to play the song and not have to move their body a little bit.
Okay, so maybe we'll see if we have the rights to that music, and we'll put it out on the end of the show. But I have to say, it's been so lovely chatting with you. And I'm so grateful that you understand how impactful improv can be and how it can help people in their day-to-day lives, how it's affected your life. You are the living proof and example of how it could help you. So thank you so much for being here. And I know our peeps are going to want to find you. So tell them where they can find you and how they can learn all the things.
Yeah. I mean, the easiest is to go to amandahirsch.com. My last name is spelled Hirsch. So amandahirsch.com. You can sign up for my newsletter. You can buy my book. You can do all the things. And there's a link there as well to my storytelling business, if that's of interest to you as well.
I love it. Yes. And tell us the name of that storytelling business.
Mighty Forces.
Mighty Forces. We'll put a link to all of her links in the show notes.
Links to links.
Links to links. Hey, speaking of links and connection, I feel like we had it, full circle moment. And yes. I am just hoping that everybody listening felt their own connection to Amanda. So make sure you go check her out. Thank you for being here, Amanda. You are wonderful.
Thank you so much.
Okay, my peeps. I loved that conversation. Owning your career doesn't mean having a 5-year plan. It means choosing, experimenting, and rewriting the rules on your terms. Now, here's your homework today. All right, you're going to, number 1, write down 3 things you enjoy doing. Not job titles, but actual activities. Number 2, you're then going to ask yourself, how can I do more of these things this month, even in small ways? And number 3, I want you to write out this prompt. What's one story I'm telling myself about my career that I'm ready to change? You can share your career story remix on Instagram. You can send it to me directly in the DMs at It's Erin Deal. You can also drop your story in the comments on iTunes after you write a 5-star review. So I want you to know that today's episode hopefully was empowering. I want you to know that I see you. I want you to know that hopefully today gave you some tangible takeaways, even with new choice that you can put into practice to make decisions, to clarify your own path, to allow you to choose who you are and where you want to be. So, you know what I'm going to say? Keep failing, keep improving, and remember that every single workday is a play date waiting to happen. Play on, my peeps. I'll see you next time.